Howdy, hello, Dr. G here. In this lecture, we're going to be talking about the U.S. regional cuisine from the Mid-Atlantic. So let's just remind you where the Mid-Atlantic states are. That is the four states of New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. So right close to New England, and it's part of the Northeast main major region or of the Census Bureau. Sorry. So the Mid-Atlantic fare is, traditional Mid-Atlantic fare is a combination of Native American fare, right, that came from that area, and then also the settlers, the European settlers that came in too. The difference, we really want to focus on who were the European groups that came in to the Mid-Atlantic region. And those groups were people from the Netherlands, so really far north, Germany, and other Eastern European countries. So the types of grains that were brought in, you'll see, are the colder weather grains, so wheat, barley, buckwheat, and rye. And it's a heartier, heavier fare than maybe even what you would see in the Northeast, partially because of this Eastern European Germanic influence. So we have greater use of pork, particularly in sausages and dairy use. So we saw some cream in the New England, but we see even more cheeses and things like that, and definitely pork from German influences. We have baked goods, more baked goods than New England because that was what was brought over from Germany, and we see stronger seasonings, partly because of the influences from Europe, but also what was available a little bit further south in the United States. So what do we see? What are some things that we see? First we see coleslaw, which we eat coleslaw in the South as well, but it originated with being more like a pickled cabbage kind of thing, so more vinegar based. Not in the South, you see more mayonnaise kind of stuff. We see head cheese. So head cheese, some of you might think this is lovely, and some of you might think not so much, but head cheese is basically, you boil a hog's head, you use the parts that aren't really used quite often, and you boil it all down, and then you make it into, you take everything and pull it off the bone and make it into head cheese that could be served on a sandwich or something else. We see pancakes are commonly consumed, particularly buckwheat pancakes, remembering that you get some buckwheat from Germany. And then Philly cheesesteaks, Pennsylvania being part of the Mid-Atlantic region, but it's a cheesesteak, right? So you have meat, shaved meat, and then maybe peppers and onions and cheese on a bun. The Pennsylvania Dutch, we remember that when I talked about that in the unit about Europe, Pennsylvania Dutch they're not Dutch, they're actually German, because remember, Deutsch is the Germans word for themselves, Deutschland, Dutch. So we see a lot of foods that are similar to what were consumed in Germany, including schnitzel, remember that flat breaded pork cutlet. Lima beans are something that we are going to see, and scrapple. Oh goodness, scrapple. Scrapple is ground pork, kind of like we have ground beef. We have ground pork, and then cornmeal mixed together and made into a loaf pan. And then once it's set, you slice it and you fry it. So this is scrapple on a grill right here. Homemade noodles and dumplings with chicken. So this is where chicken and dumplings came about in the U.S. Sauerkraut, a little bit different than coleslaw, but it's still pickled cabbage, and those dark rye breads. Pennsylvania Dutch also brought us apples, or the use of apple products and everything, from fresh, just eating fresh apples, to apple pastries, to this is apple butter, right? It's not actually butter, but it's a apple spread. And we also see sticky buns, which we've talked about before, but I just wanted to put, here's the sticky bun. I want to put a shout out to one of the best sticky buns you can get in our region is if you go over to Jubala on Hillsborough Street, just over by the loft and close to Pullen Circle there, that you will find that Jubala is a coffee shop, has some amazing sticky buns. Oh my goodness. And it just so happens that one of our former nutrition major students works there, so that's one reason why I'm putting a plug in. But they're really, really good if you've never had a sticky bun. So that wraps up our discussion of Mid-Atlantic region. Pennsylvania Dutch and the Germans really are a big influence on what was consumed in that area. So hopefully you have a better understanding and a better feel for what the Mid-Atlantic region regional cuisine is all about. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help.